Johnny is an ambitious college student. Every night, he sets the alarm to 6 a.m. the following morning. He thinks he'll get up early the next day, run 5 kilometers at the park, have a nice breakfast, and then walk into class with style. But every day, Johnny has to tap the snooze button a million times. He struggles to get up, but feels like his bed won't let him. Believe it or not, my bed doesn't want me to get up. That's what he always tells his friends. When there are only 15 minutes left before his first class, he finally manages to get up. It's nice outside today, but he has to sit in the classroom. Hearing these unbearably outdated lectures is a real waste of life. Johnny has a sudden thought, so he writes it on the post. My alarm doesn't wake me up. My dream does. As usual, there's no time left for breakfast. He has to attend class on an empty stomach. Walking through the crowd, a feeling of absurdity can always strike him in the face. When did the ivory tower become a factory to produce boring company employees? I can't become one of them. If a man has no dream, then what's the difference between him and a fish? But what exactly is his dream? Johnny doesn't know yet. It doesn't really matter right now, he thinks. I still have 4 years to figure it out. Fortunately, he dashes through the building and just manages to make it in as the bell rings. Shiny. Yes. Landy. Yes. Johnny? Yes. Wendy? Yes. Finny? Finny? Is Finny here? Damn. Finny was up all night raiding with his guild. Guess he hasn't made it to class yet. Should I answer for him? Yes. Johnny is a reasonably responsible student. He doesn't attend class just to pass the roll call. And of course, he doesn't leave his cozy bed just to play with his phone in class. But it's not my fault. My phone vibrated first, Johnny thinks. Johnny feels happy that he isn't alone. His dream really does wake him up every morning. He looks up at the blackboard. The teacher is still repeating stuff out of the textbooks from the 80s. Do all of these basic principles really need to be proven step by step? He thinks his professor's snail-paced lessons are an insult to his intelligence. Johnny doesn't recognize the country, but as a compassionate young man, he feels like he should share the post and add a candle. Johnny leaves an angry comment. "You guys don't have any real dreams." Although Johnny hasn't been paying attention to class for a while, he doesn't think catching up is worth it. These lessons have been obsolete for years, Johnny thinks. Another productive day down the drain. Although class today was useless, I managed to learn a lot on Twitter and Quora, Johnny thinks. Johnny is an ambitious college student. Jack is a programmer who dreams of changing the world. He has worked for a top tech company for several years. Whenever he spends time as a campus recruiter, he hears youngsters talking about their dreams. But when he looks for a true geek like him, he can't find anyone that fits the bill. Another perfect morning, Jack thinks. If you want to be a geek, you need to dress like one at first. Perfect. Jack often feels pity for people who have to get up early to catch the metro. Since his company follows a flexible schedule, he can go out when fewer people are on the subway. Of course, fewer is a relative term here. The metro is always incredibly crowded. Every morning on the Hillcrest Metro line, the trains are filled with bracing stench of wild programmers. But Jack knows he's different from the rest. Is there any other reason to live than to change the world? He has the same thought as Steve Jobs. But how to change? He's not sure. That's okay, he thinks. He's still young, and time is on his side. His current plan is to gain experience at a big company and gather the strength to change the world in the future. Jack doesn't like the company he works for very much. Even though the company pays for his talent, they can never buy his heart. If I were the boss, I'd just earn money and grow my company without being evil like this. Jack is happy that he chose to become a programmer, because as long as he's in front of a computer, he feels like he has the power to change the whole world. As a die-hard geek, Jack hates to use IDEs like Visual Studio and Vim. Just a crutch, a beginner's toy. A real expert can create the most brilliant codes with nothing but a plain text editor like Notebook. When you come right down to it, Jack's job is pretty simple. All he needs to do is type O's and 1s in the right order. If he encounters an unsolvable bug, he could just leave a comment and let someone else take care of it. Such a huge company. Jack thinks that most people are totally wasting their time here. Barely anyone here truly loves technology, shares his belief in the potential for progress, or hopes to change the world. With that lonely thought in mind, he keeps typing O's and ones. While eating lunch in the cafeteria, Jack sometimes meets up with Charles. He's one of the few guys at the company that Jack has anything in common with. The caf food has been awful lately. Totally. The logistics department has lost their minds. Speaking of which, our new product manager is a complete dumbass. You can say that again. Her requirements are ridiculous. I wonder why they even recruited her. As far as I'm concerned, everyone in HR is a complete dumbass. I read in Steve Jobs' biography that the kind of people a company hires is determined by the founder's genes. I think our boss can bear those dumbasses for such a long time. No doubt he's a dumbass too. I think our boss is also a spectacular dumbass that will drive this company into the ground. I think C# is the perfect programming language. We should use C# in our new project. After lunch, Jack goes back to his desk and returns to his world of O's and ones again. In the real world, there are too many things we can't control. Like the people who leave you, like the dreams you chase while you're young. But in the binary world, Jack feels like a wise and powerful emperor. No one can control me, and nothing can stop me. From the depths of the sea to the ends of the earth, I go wherever I please. Maybe this is what they mean by free as the air, Jack thinks. Sometimes when Jack is tired, he wonders if it's much too early to start working on his dream. But I'm already doing much better than my workmates that just waste their time. At least deep in my heart, I'll never give up the dream to change the world. Jack is a programmer who dreams of changing the world. Robert is an Robert hates when people use adjectives before his name, especially arty. Posers talk about art all day, and it finally makes life suck for the true artists. So many fools with dreams of changing the world out there. As a matter of fact, it's challenging enough to stop the world from changing you. So, at the age of 23, Robert quit his easy, stable, lucrative job. On a beautiful Monday morning, he decides to throw his resignation in his manager's face. There's an amazing world out there. I need to escape and see it all for myself. So Robert packs his luggage, gets on his bike, and sets out on his enlightening journey. The first destination is Tibet. People say going there can purify the soul. As the developer of this game, I know that Robert never had an easy, stable, or lucrative job. And he certainly couldn't afford to throw a resignation in his manager's face. He's just fantasized about this scenario for a long time, and now he can't tell the reality from the dream. Thank goodness the number 318 National Highway is real enough. Thank heavens he didn't make up his destination, which is called Tibet. People sometimes ask Robert why he retired so young. Robert clears his mind and answers, "If I didn't take the chance to leave, I'd never find out." Forget it. They won't get it. I'll stop talking now. Robert begins to realize that he has nothing to say to people who are trapped by their petty lives. If he could define his state of mind in a single phrase, Robert would call it on the road. Someone always wants to know where the road is going. Way to miss the point completely, Robert thinks to himself. While Robert doesn't really appreciate that kind of question, He doesn't make a big deal out of it. The only answer is to block each message one by one without a word. It's not clear when it started. To purify heart in Tibet has become a twisted hobby for those artsy guys. People tend to look down on them. But Robert knows that if he gave into their petty doubts, he'd turn out as bad as any of them. I know some people's souls are beyond help, but the clouds up here put me at ease. You can't fake true tranquility. When I run my fingers along these ancient prayer wheels, I can feel my soul tremble, shaking off old burdens. Right here, right now, I feel the mysterious plateau has purified my soul thoroughly. Does that make me pretentious? If listening to your heart makes you pretentious, I'd much rather be pretentious than a failure. After having such an amazing experience, Robert can't wait to travel even further away. In fact, there's nothing but distance further away. Upon the distant barley fields, there's nothing but barley. The further I go, the lonelier I feel. Nothing out there but a lonely tree. Then, a stone flew towards me. The stone is bleeding. 7 sisters appear, but no one fits your need. Standing in a barren field, I found far away. I feel poor and free. These untouchable sisters. This untouchable blood. This untouchable distant happiness. Distant happiness. Has anyone ever met? It has always been thus. Behind the wind is wind. Beyond the sky is sky. And the road winds on forever. Stop. Haven't you hypocrites complained enough? Kevin believes he's an artist. The kind of person that should have his own theme song. Stop complaining and fuck right off. Why don't you bring some joy into the world for once? Kevin has always believed that anyone who thinks the meaning of life is to see the world for themselves is irredeemably dull. You could spend your entire life measuring the world in footsteps. However, only animals need to mark their territory to prove they were there. But we're human. God is dead, the people screamed. The younger generation no longer believe that the living and the dead will face any kind of final judgment. We've finally realized that in this cold, abandoned world, life is so short and absurd. Lucky that we're human. Lucky that we have art. Reality might be flawed, but art can soothe the most tortured souls. Of course, great art is seldom easy to understand. But that doesn't change this fact. Art is our only chance to achieve immortality. Don't get it wrong, Kevin isn't a painter or anything. In fact, most people will call him a game developer. But Kevin believes that games are the ninth art. It's more accurate to just call him an artist. Truth be told, Kevin made some good games in the past, some of which sold well. Not these games, of course. They sold a lot better than just well. Kevin just took the basic formula of those hits and tweaked them a little bit. It's no wonder that they say that all games are rip-offs. But Kevin always says he only makes these games to support his family. His ultimate goal in life is to make a game that's a true work of art, so he can die without regrets. People ask him all the time what kind of game could possibly let him die without regrets. He always replies, "I'm still imagining it." A new day begins. Kevin usually thinks that people who play with their phones in the bathroom are wasting their lives. It might be best to let that electronic nonsense continue to poison their minds. But an artist like Kevin, who wants to create an immortal game, will use that time to evolve creatively. Seems like a perfect game wasn't built in a day. I should take my time, Kevin thinks. Whenever Kevin opens the App Store and sees the same pay-to-win games at the top of the rankings, he despairs over the average player's taste in games. But then again, considering that a stagnant market might give him more chance to create a breakthrough game, Kevin can't help but get excited. The only coherent philosophical stance is resistance. Yet, on second thoughts, Kevin realizes he needs a better strategy. To really fight the status quo, he'll need to understand what's going on in the game industry. So Kevin spends most of his time playing games. Of course, he calls it game research. Let's check out the top-ranking games in the App Store first. Are game designers these days always in such a hurry? It's just a black and white prototype, and they're already pushing it to market. Maybe researching this kind of game could help me out. Nah, forget it. Let's dig deeper into some casual games. Perhaps I'll find inspiration there. For a casual game, its gameplay is okay, but its art style is far too atrocious. My 9th art masterpiece won't look anything like this. Moving on, next. This game has a pretty unique style. Might even attract some casuals. But the gameplay is just like fast food, simple and insubstantial. That's not what I want. But what exactly does Kevin want? He's still trying to imagine it every day. He worries that if he begins work without finding the perfect design, that would mean betraying his artistic principles. The day is almost over, and Kevin isn't any closer to finishing his design. Although all great artists suffer from the same procrastination like him, but he can't go on like this all the time. Maybe he'll research one last game today. Unexpectedly, this last game is pretty good. Anyway, I've got nothing else to do. Maybe I should base my own game on this. Even artists have got to eat. We can't live off ideals alone. Once he gets into gear, Kevin works really quickly. Perfect. It's getting late. That's all for today. Time is always tough before bed. Does that mean Kevin has insomnia? No. Only those with weak and empty heart get insomnia. Kevin just feels a little melancholy. Maybe that's a burden that every artist must bear. Though he hasn't made his amazing game yet, so calling himself an artist is a bit premature. But as Natsume Soseki once said, if a person has a painting in his heart, he is already a painter, even if he has never painted. That's true for me too, Kevin thinks. Nah, never mind. I should stop counting. Counting sheep helps some people sleep, but it doesn't work at all for Kevin. Every time Kevin tells himself that he'll fall asleep when he counts to 999, but always sadly discovers himself still awake when he gets there. That sadness makes it even harder to sleep. So when Kevin can't fall asleep now, he prefers to imagine a little man pushing a boulder. He pushes it up a hill, and it rolls down. He pushes it back up, and it rolls down again. Just like the happy lives of regular people. Just like the absurd lives of regular people. Don't need to worry about counting to 999 because he knows that nothing will happen if 1000 comes true. They say mankind has two reasons to despair: ignorance and hope. That's just like them. Just like them. Like them. Them. When I left the bookstore, I left my umbrella there. I hope the person who carries it home is you.